If life feels heavy right now, this is for you. Not because you are failing, not because you are weak, not because something has gone wrong, but because something inside you has been holding on for a very long time. There are moments in life when the weight doesn't arrive all at once. It doesn't crash in dramatically. It seeps in quietly, through responsibility, through adaptation, through being the one who copes, through being the one who understands, through being the one who keeps going when stopping doesn't feel like an option. And one day you wake up and everything feels heavier than it should. Not unbearable, just heavier. As if even simple things ask more of you than they used to. As if your inner world is tired of carrying life the way it has been carried so far. Carl Jung paid very close attention to moments like this. Not as symptoms to eliminate, but as messages from the psyche itself. He believed the psyche was not an enemy, not a machine that breaks, but a living system that seeks balance. Again and again, in his work with patients, Jung noticed something important. People did not suffer most when life was objectively hard. They suffered most when they were inwardly divided. When one part of them was enduring, and another part was silently collapsing. When one part was trying to stay strong, and another part was begging to be met. So if life feels heavy right now, Jung would not ask, "What's wrong with you?" He would ask, "What has been ignored for too long?" Because heaviness often appears when the psyche is compensating. When consciousness has leaned too far in one direction. Toward productivity. Toward control. Toward self-discipline. Toward being acceptable, capable, composed. And the psyche responds not with punishment, but with pressure. With fatigue. With emotional weight. Not to stop you, but to bring you back into balance. Many of Jung's patients came to him confused by this exact feeling. They had done everything right. They were functioning, responsible, capable, and yet, something inside them felt unbearably heavy. One woman Jung wrote about was outwardly successful, admired, and stable. But she described an inner exhaustion she could not explain. There was no crisis, no clear trauma, just a growing sense of weight, sadness, and loss of meaning. Jung did not try to energize her. He did not push her to be positive. He listened. And what emerged was not pathology. It was a neglected inner life. A part of her that had never been allowed to be vulnerable, uncertain, or tender. The heaviness was not depression. It was the soul asking to be included. This is something Jung understood deeply. What we exclude from ourselves does not disappear. It waits. And then it returns as weight. Often, the heaviest feelings belong to the most unlived parts of us. The tired part. The sensitive part. The part that wanted rest instead of achievement. The part that wanted love instead of approval. And when those parts are ignored long enough, the psyche slows us down. Not cruelly. Wisely. If life feels heavy right now, it may be because something in you is asking for a different way of relating. Not more effort. Not more strength. But more love. And here is where Jung's work becomes profoundly gentle. Jung believed that real change does not come from force. It comes from relationship. What we fight within ourselves becomes rigid. What we judge becomes entrenched. What we try to overcome becomes heavier. But what we meet with awareness and compassion begins to transform. This is the alchemy Jung spoke about. Not turning pain into pleasure, but turning unconscious suffering into conscious experience. When suffering is unconscious, it controls us. When it is conscious, it can be held. So instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this heaviness?" Jung would invite a different question. How can I be with this without abandoning myself? Because abandonment is often what hurts the most. Many people learned very early that certain feelings were inconvenient. Too much, too slow, too emotional, too needy. And so they learned to manage themselves instead of meeting themselves. They learned to push through, to override fatigue, to silence tenderness. That strategy works. Until it doesn't. Until the body becomes tired of being ignored. until the psyche asks for something more humane. If you're feeling overwhelmed right now, notice how quickly the mind tries to fix it, to label it, to analyze it, to become stronger than it. But Jung saw again and again that healing rarely came through domination. It came through understanding. There is a difference between strength and hardness. Strength includes softness. Hardness does not. And love, in Jung's sense, was never sentimental. Love was the attitude that allowed the psyche to reorganize itself. Love is not telling yourself everything is fine. Love is staying present with what is not. Love is allowing a feeling to exist without demanding it justify itself. Without demanding it hurry up and leave. When you do this, something subtle happens. The inner struggle eases. The system relaxes. The weight begins to redistribute. This is not immediate relief. It is deeper relief. One of Jung's most important insights was that inner conflict intensifies when we split ourselves into opposing camps. The part that must cope, and the part that cannot anymore. The part that says, you should be fine, and the part that says, I'm exhausted. When these parts are at war, the psyche suffers. But when they are allowed to coexist, something heals. You don't need to resolve the conflict. You need to hold it. This is what Jung meant by holding the tension of opposites. Not rushing to eliminate discomfort, but staying present long enough for a new way forward to emerge naturally. If life feels heavy right now, it may be because you are in one of these moments. A moment where the old way of carrying yourself no longer works, and the new way has not yet fully formed. That in-between space can feel unbearable, but it is also sacred. Because it is where transformation happens. Not dramatic transformation. Quiet transformation. The kind that happens when you stop demanding that you be different than you are. Love enters here not as a solution, but as a container. And a container changes everything. Imagine holding a fragile object tightly in your fist. The pressure itself becomes dangerous. But if you open your hand, the object can rest. Your inner life works the same way. When you tighten around pain, it sharpens. When you soften around pain, it spreads out. It becomes less concentrated, less threatening. This is not avoidance. This is intelligent care. Jung often worked with patients who were terrified of their own feelings. They believed that if they allowed sadness, grief, or fear, they would fall apart. But what Jung observed was the opposite. When feelings were allowed into consciousness with support, they became manageable. What overwhelms us most is what we face alone. So if life feels heavy, ask yourself gently, what am I carrying by myself that was never meant to be carried alone? This is not a question to answer intellectually. It is a question to feel into. Sometimes the answer is not a memory or a story. Sometimes it is simply exhaustion. And exhaustion deserves tenderness, not correction. If this message is speaking to something inside you, pause for a moment. Tap the like button so this reaches someone else who may need it too. Then come back. We're not done. There is something deeply important to understand here. The psyche does not heal by being pushed. It heals by being met. Love, in this sense, is not indulgence. It is honesty without violence. It is saying, this is what is here, and staying. Jung believed that what we call healing often happens indirectly, not because we fix the symptom, but because we change the relationship we have with ourselves. When you meet your heaviness with love, you are not surrendering. You are changing the internal conditions. The nervous system begins to calm. The inner critic loosens its grip. The tired parts no longer need to shout. And slowly, the weight begins to shift. Not because it disappears, but because it is no longer carried in isolation. This is how love transmutes pain, by bringing it into relationship. Think of a child who is overwhelmed. They don't need explanations. They need presence. Your inner world is no different. Jung knew that the psyche is not impressed by logic. It responds to experience. And the experience of being held changes everything. You may notice that when you stop fighting your feelings, they begin to move. They flow instead of stagnate. They express instead of compress. This is not accidental. Movement is life. Resistance creates stagnation. Love creates circulation. And circulation reduces pressure. If life feels heavy, let yourself rest inside awareness instead of trying to escape it. Let yourself be exactly where you are without demanding progress. This is not falling behind. This is integration. Many of Jung's patients only began to feel better when they stopped trying to feel better. When they stopped measuring themselves against who they thought they should be. When they allowed themselves to be human. The psyche relaxes when it no longer has to perform. So let this moment be imperfect. Let it be unresolved. Let it be gentle. You do not need clarity right now. You need kindness. And kindness is not passive. It is profoundly active. It reorganizes the inner world. It restores trust. It allows the psyche to do what it knows how to do naturally: heal. This heaviness you feel may one day reveal itself as a turning point. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was honest. Because it was the moment you stopped abandoning yourself in the name of strength. And that is not weakness. That is wisdom. Thank you for being here with me. Take care of your heart. And may love always guide your path.